away 37 years of marriage because life had become something other than it was supposed to be. He wasn't that kind of man. He shook his head, his shoulders slumped under a weight she couldn't see. "Dad?"
"It's too much for me."
She grabbed his elbow. "What's going on?" He brushed an errant lock of hair back from her face, even as the wind whipped more of it free from her ponytail.
"I thought I'd be able to wait until you were married."
What was he talking about? She hadn't had a serious boyfriend in years, and even then they'd discussed marriage exactly once, just long enough for them to both know they weren't ready. They hadn't been particularly in love either. "Dad," her voice turned firm, "you're not making any sense. What are you talking about?"
"After you said you didn't want Whitaker fishing in the pinch, I hoped you'd marry someone who did. Or maybe you'd have kids who wanted it."
"The business?" Her gaze swept over the fishing boats rocking in the narrow dock, sitting low in the water beside the pier. Pale blue and white and barnacle-free, just a pinch had been her father's pride and joy for more than a decade. The realization sat in her chest, heavy and painful, slipping south with each creak of the mooring lines until her feet were rooted where she stood. He was selling his business. He was selling his livelihood. He was selling her birthright. Okay, technically, he'd asked her a few years ago if she wanted to take over the business. But how could she run a fishing company when she couldn't stomach stepping aboard a boat? She'd never earn the respect of the crew or enjoy a day at her job. Still, there was something terrifying about the idea that the license her great-grandpa had bought would go to someone without the Whitaker name. Even when everything else seemed unstable, Whitaker Fishing had been theirs. "Dad, you can't. Not yet." He held up a hand that stilled her outburst, but it was the calm shake of his head that tore her heart apart.
"You said you didn't want it."
Confusion seemed to add a question to the statement. His eyes sad.
"Have you changed your mind?"
She tried to form a response, but her tongue couldn't shape it. She managed only a slight shrug.
"Your mom needs me now. She can't wait."
There was no need for him to finish his thought. She knew. While the income from the sale would allow them to enjoy the days her mom had left, he really only cared about spending them with her. The money would be nice later. After. And there would be plenty of money. Lobster fishing fleets were in high demand, mostly because there were a limited number of fishing licenses around Prince Edward Island. They rarely came up for sale, and when they did, they went for small fortunes, and her dad had been approached by brokers many times over the years. Her eyes swung toward the blue truck. Was that a broker sitting inside? She quickly dismissed the idea. Brokers on that level didn't drive rusted clunkers. So who was he? And what did he want with her and her dad? There has to be another way. But even as she said it, she knew it wasn't true.
"Your mom and I have talked about it. I want to spend every moment I can with her. I've decided to sell."
His mouth twisted on the words, his facade beginning to crack, and she could do nothing but throw her arms around her dad and hold him tightly. "I'm so sorry," she whispered into his shoulder, reining in her own emotions. He didn't need her grief, too. He needed her to be strong and sure. She'd heard fishermen talk of ships in distress looking for any port in the storm. But her mom and dad didn't need just any port. They needed to be able to lean on her in the face of the unknown. She couldn't buckle under her own grief. She wouldn't. With a gentle pat on her back and a sniff just above her head, her dad pulled away. His long legs carried him back a step, just as the glow of the morning sun lit up the ocean where it met the east, turning the water from black to inky blue.
"I have to tell you something else."
His furry black eyebrows drew together, meeting over his crooked nose. Her stomach dropped.